The Democrats have no leader. They remind me of Somalia. And I met the president of Somalia. I told him about the problem he's got. I said, you have somebody from Somalia who's telling us how to run our country. She's from Somalia. He said, would you like to take her back?
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So thank you so much for the support and tuning in onto this particular episode. And today we have some breaking news, and former President Donald Trump has criticized again the Congressman Ilhan Omar. That is what we are going to be talking about today. And this content, guys, it's for news and commentary purposes, not to criticize or even cause harassment to any particular tribe or even community. So kindly keep it respectful. Yeah, so as per our topic today, according to the sources, and reigniting a long running political feud, and that's drawing national attention. And what actually happened is Trump's remarks come as a political tension, and it continues to rise ahead of the next election cycle. As you all know, it's almost near. So while he framed his comments as criticism of Omar's policies, the congresswoman says the rhetoric has led to increased threats against her. So her response was, she remains focused on her work, but warns that political language from powerful leaders can have serious real-world consequences, and she's calling for more responsibility and a lowering of the temperature in American policy. So on both sides, supporters of Trump argue his comments are protected free speech and part of a normal political debate, and Democrats and civil rights groups, however, they say the tone of today's politics is becoming increasingly dangerous. So why all of this matters, and it's very important for likability. So this story goes beyond just two political figures, It raises broader questions about how leaders communicate and how Americans disagree and how the country moves forward during a deeply divided time. So as always, we'll continue following the facts, bringing you updates as this story develops, because there is just so much, and I really want you guys to get the real and the proven information. I don't want to spread rumors. So no matter where you stand politically, respectful dialogue and public safety remain concerns shared by all Americans. So guys, thank you for clicking, and tell me what you think on the comment section. And I have several clips here of the same, so maybe you can watch them and tell me exactly what you think about all of these. Yeah, so feel free, and also remain respectful. No back and forths on the comment section. Thank you guys. Enjoy.
The idea that this is a white nation that needs to be preserved is a fascinatingly disgusting view.
So if American, Australian and Europeans who have the tools and resources they use to build the nations they have today were to pack up those tools and resources, move to places like Somalia and Nigeria, establish themselves there permanently while implementing their own Western Christian laws and values, would that be okay? Or would it suddenly be that the idea that Somalia and Nigeria as black nations need to be preserved is no longer a fascinatingly disgusting view? Your country is known for pirates and tribal warfare. You ran to the United States, gained a position of power that you never would have achieved had you stayed in Somalia, only to then complain that America is not like the shithole which you were so proud of that you ran away from. And I can't speak for all groups, but just between the Assyrian and Chaldean Catholic communities of Detroit and Chicago, both are the same people, they're both Assyrians, but anyway, just between these two communities, they produce a higher GDP per year than your entire country of Somalia. And you can call me a racist for pointing that out, but you can't say that I'm lying. We are a people whose land has been occupied over the last 2,000 years by numerous empires and nations. Today, currently, by Islamic Turks, Islamic Kurds, and Islamic Arabs. But none of you want to call that out. None of you want to talk about that because these are your brothers in Islam. And yet we still move to America, Australia, and Europe and contribute to society. Meanwhile, you guys are going all around Africa, the Middle East, and Central Asia, turning all these beautiful locations into shitholes, and then you move to places like America, Australia, and Europe and complain that they're not like the shitholes you ran away from.
Muhammad's 3 steps was immigrate, increase, eliminate. Immigrate as a religious refugee, increase the number of your followers and demand political accommodation, and then eliminate the previous culture. So I was speaking in Detroit area, and afterwards had people come up and visit around the book table, and they were telling me about a lady who had a ministry to pregnant mothers. So she shows up at a Muslim house, has a little present. Well, out of a bedroom comes another pregnant Muslim mom. Out of a bedroom comes another pregnant Muslim mom. Out of a bedroom comes another pregnant Muslim mom, all pregnant by the same man. He's practicing Sharia law in his house. And then someone else says, oh yeah, Fazil bought a bunch of houses on the street, has a wife in each one.
Where was this?
In Detroit area. The wives go down to the welfare office and say their husband's not around. He goes and visits them, and the more kids they have, the larger the checks get. And he's living like a king at state expense, and all the kids playing in the middle of the street are his children. He's practicing Sharia law on his block. They take over several more blocks, and they vote in the school board. And now they have their Sharia in the schools. And then they take over more blocks. They vote in the police department, fire department. And in Hamtramck, Detroit, they vote in the majority of the city council. They have their minarets, their calls to prayer 5 times a day, no different than Pakistan. So we see the first ones come in as immigrants, and they're nice, and they're so nice, everybody says they're nice, nothing to fear, let more in, more come in, they gravitate together, form a community. Imam shows up and says, okay, you need to start getting a little more serious about this, more fundamental. Then the burqas start appearing, people say the neighborhood's changing, they move out, more Muslims move in, and then there's always that stickler that says, I refuse to move out. And that's when there's random violence from Muslim youth. And there's no witnesses, because no Muslim family dare testify against another Muslim family on behalf of some kafir infidel that's hanging in the neighborhood. And so eventually they take over the entire neighborhood. And they do this neighborhood by neighborhood, city by city, block by block, until they take over countries. And there's 1,400 years of track record to observe this pattern. So they took over Egypt, which used to be Coptic Christian. They took over Syria, which used to be Christian. They took over all of Turkey, which used to be Christian. Took over all of North Africa, which used to be. They took Spain, held it for 700 years until the Spaniards drove them out.
They have a representative, Ilhan Omar, who they say married her brother. It's a fraud. She tries to deny it now, but you can't really deny it because, you know, it just happened. She shouldn't be allowed to be a congresswoman, and I'm sure people are looking at that. And she should be thrown the hell out of our country. The Somalians should be out of here. They've destroyed our country. And all they do is complain, complain, complain. You have her. She's always talking about the Constitution provides me with... Go back to your own country and figure out your Constitution. All she does is complain about this country, and without this country, she would not be in very good shape. She probably wouldn't be alive right now. So Somalia is considered by many to be the worst country on earth. I don't know. I haven't been there. I won't be there anytime soon, I hope. Frankly, they shouldn't even be allowed to be congresspeople, okay? They shouldn't even be allowed to be congresspeople, because they don't represent the interests of our... We should throw the hell out of our country. Let me just tell you something. We don't want those people. Does that make sense? You know why we don't want them? Because many have been no good, and they shouldn't be in our country.
What do you mean by those people? Can you
The
clarify?
people from different countries that are not friendly to us, and countries that are out of control themselves. Countries like Somalia that have virtually no government, no military, no police. All they do is go around killing each other. Then they come into our country and tell us how to run our country. We don't want them.
How many countries roughly?
You got to talk up.
She said how many countries?
Is there a list of...
Well, I guess we gave you 19, right? and it's probably more than that.
Is that what you mean when you mean third world countries, those 19?
No, I don't think they're all third world, but in many cases they are third world. They're not good countries. They're very crime-ridden countries. They're countries that don't do a good job. They're countries that don't register from the standpoint of success. And we, frankly, don't need their people coming into our country telling us what to do.
When you talk about
And I'm talking about like Somalia, where you have a congressman goes around telling everybody about our Constitution, and yet she supposedly came into our country by marrying her brother. Well, if that's true, she shouldn't be a congressman, and we should throw her the hell out of our country.
Let me tell you about somebody who overreached themselves. Ilhan Omar, right? She thought she was a big fish, in the Democratic Party, but the Democratic Party lost. And she found out who the real big fish is. Trump. Now, they have gone into her entire history and what is happening with her corrupt people. Ilhan Omar has been accused of student loan fraud, campaign fraud abuse nationwide, not just in her city, but nationwide. They called her a serial career criminal. So I guess she really is representative of her community, right? The Somalis in Minnesota. She's been accused of tax fraud, immigration fraud, and bigamy. I think they're working up a case to throw this broad out of here.